Hello, and welcome to The Least Ready Room, a podcast where Dave and Chris, I'm Dave, intend to watch every episode of Star Trek. And I should really rework that intro to include Saint, who has been here for nearly every episode so far, and really, that mostly has to do with everyone's schedules. Chris and I started recording this. We often record on Monday afternoons, which is not a time everyone's available, but anyway, we've also had other guests. Midori and Weebs are sometimes here, and I hope to involve more people in the future, so if you, listening to this, would like to share some Star Trek opinions or deep thoughts, get at me. The best place to find us is on my Discord server, which is called EasyTown, and you can get a link to that from koyadk.tv. So this episode is going to be a little different. A little more chopped up and not particularly focused on one episode of Star Trek, although we did watch Tuvix last Friday and we did have some thoughts. Also, I'm sure we are going to be talking a bunch more about the transporter as this podcast goes on, because for something that began as a plot contrivance so that no one had to build an actual shuttlecraft, it's really gone on to become one of the most interesting and technically nuanced pieces of technology on a show about all of the complex tech used in space travel. But today, first, let's start with a story about me that's going to be filled with sighs. Not really a story. Stories, have structure, beginning, building, middle, and end, 3 acts, 5 acts, whatever, but sometimes 2. This is going to be an unfortunate series of events. It's too bad that that's really the best way to describe such a type of story, and now it's, you associate it with a horrible old uncle and giant boa snake and stuff. But, that's whatever. I'm not even going to get into what's happening with the plumbing in my house right now, because it's very upsetting. I mention it because I feel like it might come up in the following conversations. We also don't really need to talk about the adventure that I had last weekend after watching Tuvix, in between bouts of sewer water flowing upwards into my bathroom because of the unrelenting flooding we've been experiencing out here in the woods, when my alternator blew in the middle of nowhere driving home, and I spent a very cold and battery-dead 4 hours on the side of an exit ramp while psychotic Connecticut main character drivers whipped past me at terrible, violent speeds. I mention that because it is going to come up. And, you know what? A transporter is almost certainly a preferred means of travel to events like what I just described, right? Maybe one of the next questions of the week will be, would you rather wait 4 hours for a tow truck freezing in the middle of nowhere in an unsafe location, or would you rather come out of the transporter inside out? It's it's one of those dark would you rather questions. Anyway, those aren't even the unfortunate events I wanted to tell you about. Because what I'm about to present in this episode is not what I originally intended to present. We talked a little bit last week about how I had some content for this, and I don't. It's going to be fun. Don't worry. We're going to talk to Saint and Chris and Weebs, who are all very cool. But this episode, to me, is starting to feel cursed. So, first of all, as I mentioned last week, I had recorded a talk about Tuvix a while ago that I wanted to use. And in the past couple of days, I have looked everywhere for this footage. After checking my piles of to-be-edited folders, I looked around in my mind for clues. And it occurred to me that on the night of that recording, It was the night that Chris Rock and Will Smith had a slapping fight at the Oscars. A quick Google search provided me with the following information, that night was March 27th, 2022, which is basically 2 years ago at the time of this recording. So, yeah, that might give you some idea of the amount of stuff I record, archive, never do anything with, and like why, with the podcast I'm making now, I'm trying to reverse that type of habit. So I searched for files created within a few days of that event. For a long time, I searched through these files, and all I found was an image of Tuvix and Tuvok having an Oscar night slapping fight. And that image will accompany this episode when it's posted on Discord. Boisvert, a.k.a. Greenwood, who has not been on this podcast, but appears on my other podcast, maybe we'll talk. He prepared a roughly photoshopped image of Tuvok and Tuvix having an Oscar night slapping fight. And if you're listening to this because you got a link to it from the Discord where I posted, you've probably already seen the image I'm describing. So I'm not sure if I opened or modified or just renamed the file at some point, and I'm also not sure if doing that would have changed the date associated with the file. When I don't know how to use a computer, by the way, and actually that might change the date that I would have had to search by. So, well, so anyway, I am actually, aside from all of this, I am sorting through, one of my ongoing things right now is sorting through the hoard. I don't want to use the term archive. The hoard of audio files and videos and content that I've accumulated. I've been digging through it for, just the bits of content filler, and, I want to get the playthroughs and stuff that are in there organized so the footage can be used for something. But I'm really doing this out of a desire to get organized. I've spent a lot of time really this year, 2024, sort of getting room by room. And actually, it seems like it's been going on longer, but really just within the past couple, I guess it's only been 2.5 months, but I've really taken care of, really, the back two rooms were just unusable. They were just storage. They were just piles of garbage. And I've really cleaned them out. I got my new grow tent set up. I've reclaimed my bedroom, which was one of those rooms that was full of stuff. That bedroom also, most of the stuff in there was my stock that I go out and sell on the weekends. So I got shelves in there. Everything's off the floor. My grow tent is in the other room. Everything is all set up and clean. So much garbage has been taken out of the house. That's all neither here or there, but, now that the house is cleaned up, next I'm going to clean up this hard drive, and after that, maybe I'll organize my fucking mind. So, anyway, if that file is somewhere, there's a total possibility that I just did not record on the night that we talked about it. That's something that's happened before. It's more common that I'll record and you're going to hear, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's more common that I'll do a whole recording. That one of my favorite movies is called Seamless, starring Kentaro Segal and Elizabeth Shannon Elizabeth, yeah. And I showed it to a group of people. We did an excellent panel. There were 5 of us there. We talked about it for 2 hours. Neither my mic nor the desktop audio was turned on, so it was a completely blank recording. And again, that doesn't have anything. Well, it does. It does have something to do with, but we haven't even gotten into that part yet. So, if I come across that file, maybe we will, take a look at it. I was really just thinking about skipping putting out an episode this week. But, people have responded to the question of the week, and I wanted to give those people airtime because I really do appreciate everyone that contributes their opinions to this project and to all of my, internet bullshit. I really do appreciate the people on my Discord server, anyone who listens to this, and everyone that comments or contributes to my shit. I really do. I feel like it probably doesn't always seem that way, that I truly appreciate you all. I realize that I've become a hardened, exterior, old, friendless curmudgeon, and that the wall around my heart has calcified and expanded into an external field of absolute terror. But I'm working on it. I'm getting better. So last night, Saint and I got together to read the answers to the question of the week, and I didn't turn my microphone on until the very end. That's how that previous story is relevant. I recorded Saint's audio, thankfully. But not until the very end of us talking did I look down and realize my microphone wasn't on. I was a little bit absent-minded last night, probably because I was extremely distressed about the flood water that it was flowing upwards into my tub at the time. At the time last night, if it continued to flow upwards, it was going to eventually overflow. It has it has receded somewhat now, and I'm less worried. And also, after the messed up recording, I ate a lot of marijuana edibles, and I also ate some this morning after confirming that my parents' house was not flooded. So I'm feeling a lot less stressed right now. Whew. So thankfully, I have the answers that Saint read, and I have his thoughts recorded. I'm going to re-record my answers, and I'll include Saint's half of our general talk about transporters. I may have to reinsert some of my thoughts for continuity, and I hope that's not too awkward. So, yeah, a bit of a cursed episode and a cursed couple of weeks. And, man, if you really look at, you can always take a moment and look at the recent events in your life and say, wow, it's really just been one thing after another. But if you look at it, if your range of vision broadens too much, you can start going, oh boy, and before that this was going on and that was going on, until it's just a chain of misadventures and unfortunate events your entire, because I was about to say, oh man, and boy, there was this stuff going on in January, but really last 2 weeks of February, first week or so of March, which is where we're at right now, really one thing after another. Flooded, car is dead. Right now, we'll talk about it probably when we're talking about transporting, but one of my things today, it's about 1 p.m. right now, and maybe even after I record this, I won't even edit the episode immediately, because I got a couple days to take apart my car's engine and put an alternator in there. And also, I want to change my brakes, which I'm a little more familiar with, but I'm going to watch some YouTube videos to re-establish. I haven't done that in a while. I got a wheel stud that I got to put in there. So the car is a whole other. We'll probably mention it again, but yeah, the car is one of the things I should be doing today. And also, I've already done some of that archiving I was talking about, and some of that is getting used hopefully this week as I begin some more projects. And yeah, so that's what's going on. This is a cursed episode. A lot of things went wrong, and this is me patching together what I ended up with, and I hope you like it. It's going to be great anyway. Everything we do is great. That's my it's got the Koya DK seal of approval on it. This is fun. We're having fun, right? If you've listened this far, you must be somewhat interested in my stupid stories and the crap I talk about. So, first, let's talk to Saint and do the questions, because that's probably going to be the most work I have to do editing. But then I'll include some of our thoughts about Tuvix from last Friday. And that night, when we watched the Tuvix episode, we also watched the Futurama episode that features the TOS cast, and the Family Guy episode that features the TNG cast. I feel like we had more to say about the Futurama episode, and we might even talk about that again in a future bonus episode. When we are all, we'll see. I feel like Chris may not have been here when we were watching the Futurama episode, but because she stepped out during that evening at a certain point, but we'll see. Yeah, I may want to have more fuller cover, and we'll find out about whether or not Chris was here when we get to that point in me editing, we being me. And but I might want to talk about that episode a little more than we do here. That's all. But yeah, I think if we're going to compare the Futurama and the Family Guy one, I think the Futurama one worked better because it's a science fiction series to begin with, and it's more of a natural fit. as a result. But also the plot of the Futurama episode was about the TOS cast, and that made it more. They're both fun from the perspective of a Star Trek fan, but the Futurama episode is about Star Trek. And, I don't watch a lot of animated shows, and I might be one of those people. You might be able to tell that I might be one of those people that got tired of Family Guy after, 20 fucking years or whatever. I feel like Family Guy is a little bit passé, right? Is it still getting made? I feel silly even having an opinion on Family Guy. I canceled my Hulu subscription probably sometime around Oscar night 2022, and that's only relevant because I mentioned it earlier. I wasn't mad about the slap fighting, I don't even know if the Oscars are on Hulu. You know what? But I think there should be more slap fighting at the Oscars. I think that's how they should decide who gets the little golden man, by slapping, Anyway, the scenes in the Family Guy episode that feature the TNG cast are a lot of fun, and it's a fine episode, but those scenes aren't the focus. They just kind of punctuate a story, which is about Meg catching the mumps and finding Jesus. So, welcome to the least ready room. The question of the week was, what is your favorite transporter accident/incident? Or, which two Star Trek characters from any series would be fun to smash together into a single being?
Okay. So Locke replied with Thomas Riker, of course, because of all the questions it makes me ask of myself. And he said, he puts up a quote, there are no choices, nothing but a straight line. The illusion comes afterwards when you ask why me and what if. When you look back and see the branches like a prudent bonsai tree or forked lightning, if you had done something differently, it wouldn't be you, it would be someone else looking back, asking a different set of questions. Yeah, and I'm trying to, it has been a while since I've seen the Thomas Riker episode, but if I recall correctly, it's something like they pull Riker, but as he was before something happened to him, out of like a transporter buffer or something from like 19 years ago.
It's something like,
or is it
what happened is he got separated 19 years ago. There was like a scientific field that part of the transporting, reflected back to the source or whatever, and they didn't realize he had been left behind on this planet with a magical field around it. So the two Rikers had separated 19 or 15 years ago or whatever, and so now they were meeting each other, and they've lived very different lives coming from that one branch. I think it's something like that. So a foolish princess answered the second part of the question with double-decker Guinan. So Guinan combined with Guinan squared. Instead of a Dark Lord, you would have a queen, which is, boy, that's like, for a long time, that has been one of my favorite things to say, unrelated to any double-decker Tuvixing of Guinan or other Star Trek characters.
Yeah, and I think I've said this before, is my favorite transporter accident is Mirror Mirror, the TOS episode. But partly just because of how much it spawned. It spawned the whole mirror universe, the whole, like, the evil, the morally inverted universe. But they make it, and I haven't even seen all the DS9 episodes, but they make it more complicated. It's not just morally inverted, because, like, isn't there a part, though, where it's like the Terran Empire gets real fucked up, and then there are a bunch of slaves, and the Bajorans are in charge or something? Didn't I see an episode where, like, evil Kira's got Cisco as a slave or something like that?
It is something like that, and considering Cisco's and Miles, aka Smiley's situation, and even Bashir and stuff, it doesn't seem like the humans are doing too good either. at the timeline point of DS9 or like way out on the outskirts of DS9, everyone's evil and the Terran Empire is not as in charge, I believe, at that point in DS9 when they do DS9 mirror episodes.
Well, what the Discovery. What, like, when does Discovery take place?
Very early, it begins early in the timeline, maybe after Enterprise,
Okay.
certainly
Okay, because
before TOS.
all right, because DS9 is is chronologically when they do the mirror universe stuff in DS9, it is after all that Terran Empire stuff that happens in Discovery, and I think at that point it's like the Terran Empire has fallen. Actually, it kind of fell apart.
Chris replied to the question of the week that her favorite transporter incident is the Scotty accident on TNG, where his buddy's code degenerates in the buffer over 50 years or so, which that we're going to talk more about the nature of transporter buffers and what actually happens to the person and their consciousness as they're transporting after we read all of the questions. But I mean, that is the big question, and it comes up in the answers. Whether or not the transporter just kills you, which is very popular these days. People are like, well, they're all dead. I'm not ever transporting. And boy, it's less fun to watch the show and believe that that's what's going on. But we're going to talk about it. But yeah, that was Chris's answer. Scotty's buddy whose signal degrades in the transporter buffer. The transporter buffer becomes a whole plot device and a thing. Like, there's a lot of people in transporter buffers. Anyway.
Yeah, I've already stated my position. I think in the last podcast, beam me the fuck up. Beam me up because I hate having to drive places. I hate having to fly places. I hate that it takes time to get from one spot to another spot in the world. Screw that.
At this point, I explained to Saint how I'm tired of having to drive an hour and a half away every weekend or so, or, various lengths of distances that tend to be around an hour driving around the state. But, and, I mean, these days with the cost of travel and gasoline and the repairs to my car, which is now 19 years old and is right now out of commission, I got it, and it's Sunday night now, and tomorrow morning I got to really start taking this thing apart. But he won anyway with his...
Dude, when I was driving to work in Brooklyn while I'm living in Queens, it would take me usually just under an hour to get to work. On the way home, it would take me anywhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on traffic. And it wasn't much better if I took the subway, because if I took the subway, it was an hour and a half each way, just straight. It was a long subway ride because I had to go all the way through Manhattan. Yeah, 5 days a week. And like now I go into the office 1 day a week, and my office now is in Manhattan, so it's a much easier commute by far than going from Queens to Brooklyn. That's just how New York City is set up. It is the public transport systems are designed to funnel people in and out of Manhattan. So if you need to travel a different direction, not Manhattan, then it's a pain in the ass. Yeah. Oh yeah, I thought about this because no one had answered that, and then I was like, "Who would I smash together?" And I just thought about it for a while. And my answer was Seven of Nine and Worf, for really, really angry and also super logical, absolute monster at hand-to-hand and ship-to-ship combat, and also like hot in a frightening way. Yeah, Seven of Nine and Worf would be like that. That would be someone very formidable. Seven of Worf. Seven of Worf would be like, all right, now it's time to conquer the galaxy. Everybody kneel before me.
I'm going to talk about Seven of Nine in a bit, but Worf is a really excellent and interesting character. There's a lot of things about the character and his personality that people gripe about and complain about and make fun of, but he also has just some of the most excellent moments, and he's very complicated. And
Oh, I know, but it's still good though because he's got moments that people make fun of, but he at the same time he's got so many actually like genuinely good moments too, and it runs the gamut. Um, and I think that's partly also because he's been in so much fucking Star Trek. He's been in so much.
I'm still not positive about this, but I believe that Michael Dorn has a record for appearing on the most episodes of Star Trek
Yeah,
overall.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, he was a great idea for an addition to the crew. Like, let's have a Klingon. Let's have this like Starfleet. Yeah, we have this this federation of like highly pacifistic and diplomatic and rational minded guys. Let's stick a fucking berserker in there who's trying to reconcile like his berserker nature, but also being like part of this organization that he does believe in, and he believes in their mission.
Especially coming right on the tail of the movies coming out in the 80s. I mean, definitely 2, 3, and 4, the villains are Klingons, and
Yeah,
yeah,
the Pagans.
probably in 5. I don't know about 6. No, 6, yes, maybe
Yeah,
5.
and of course,
Anyway,
yeah, and of course, and me like having grown up on TOS where they have so many episodes where they're fighting Klingons. Yeah,
so before I, or well, when I started talking, or thinking rather, when I started thinking about the question of characters being smashed together, my favorite characters started coming to mind. And at first, and I did think of Seven of Nine, and then I was like, well, who would we put her together with? And the first thing that came to my head was the Doctor from Voyager. They work great together. That would be a fun combo. But then I realized there's actually an episode where something like that kind of happens. And first of all, related to this is that when I was talking about Tuvix taking everyone over on the ship and just being one ship of all the crew members are inside one body, he wouldn't be able to do it to the Doctor. The Doctor would have to be the hero to take back the ship from the flesh monster Tuvix had become. But there's an episode where the Doctor and Seven get captured or something by aliens that don't like holograms, and they try to delete the Doctor, but Seven is smart enough to stash his code in her internal Borg circuitry.
yeah,
So they have to take turns using her body. And the Doctor goes out in a physical body for the first time. He's eating slices of cheesecake. He's chugging champagne. She's real mad at him. She's all bloated and drunk, and she's yelling at him. And later on, he's in her body, and he has to flirt with some guy for some reason. And when she's scolding him about him later, the whole episode is her scolding him about whatever happened when he was in the body. But it includes the very famous line. She's scolding him about flirting with some dude, and she says, "You became sexually aroused in my body." But the answer that I'm going to give for two characters that should be smashed together is Garrick and Dr. Bashir. They would be like a super spy doing unstoppable super spy shit. That entity would single-handedly solve the Cardassian Klingon war, you know what I mean, with some espionage and clever assassinations or whatever. So Weebs responds to the question of the week by saying the Barclay episode, where he's afraid of transporting and sees worms in the pattern buffer. Why are the people in worm form? Also, doesn't Bones say something about literally dying every time you transport?
I don't think Bones says that. I think Bones just says I don't trust them. He's already said it. It's the word. He says that on some episode. He says that on the Evil Within, I think. He already says I don't trust these things. And Locke responds, says, I find it hard to make the argument that transporters don't kill you. I mean, from the universe's perspective, they don't kill you because there's continuity of the phenomena we call you. But I think from the individual being transporter's perspective, if they do kill you, then they make a new you who, because of continuity experience, can't tell that they were killed a second ago.
And yeah, that's very grim. That's the grim
That's
take.
the grim take, which, which Weebs replies.
I guess TNG uses this and the Scotty episode to really put that theory to bed, a la molecular deconstruction does not equal death. I mean, they go so far as to show Barclay looking around, fully conscious in the transporter beam. It's just kind of funny that they have him hug what looks like a turd sock puppet in there,
Locke
too.
says that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that.
And Weebs says, television.
Television. Yeah, television. And I mean, I think this is what we were talking about at the end of last podcast, too. Yeah.
It's less fun.
It's like
to think that they're being killed.
They
the characters
keep you
we love
as like a coherent. Like if you don't buy into the idea of like, okay, well, your body has been destroyed, so that means you're dead. Whether or not there's a new you that gets created a second later that has all the memories of the previous you. Like, okay, but like, it's not that they're literally destroying a body. They're converting it into energy, which is kept as like a sort of coherent piece.
And the data
that needs to like
of the person is kept in the buffer.
Yeah, I think and in TNG in the Scotty episode, because it's like his buddy's data gets corrupted, so they can't beam him back in. He's just gone. But they're not conscious during that time. Scotty, comes to, and he's like, I don't know how long it's been. He's like, how long has it been since you rescued me? And they're like, a long fucking time. He's like, oh, okay. But yeah. So that's the thing. The transporter holds you together, and it beams you someplace, and the beam has to also stay coherent, just because it's energy. But it's like E equals MC squared, man. It's you are not being taken apart and like to be killed. You are being converted into pure energy to be moved around quickly and then put back together. Dude, how many energy beings have we met so far?
And that's it. You've convinced me. We know that a mind and a life can exist in a form of pure energy, which is what you are in the beams. So, no problem, I think.
Yeah, those dudes who came by and picked Charlie X out there, like the Thasians, yeah.
Energy beings.
The Thasians were like, yeah, sorry about Charlie X. We're going to take him away to our pure energy place.
Yep. So
it manifests as a weird, shaky Wizard of Oz head on your bridge.
Yeah, and they use that Wizard of Oz head animation a couple more times, I feel. I feel like we'll see a couple. I may have already said this in previous episodes, but we're going to see some floating green heads showing up on the bridge and right outside. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
But yeah, that's
the transport. Well, I mean, I think people are legitimately, I think it's okay for people, in settings to be like, transporters, they make me nervous. Not because they're killing you and remaking you, because they pretty much established that, no, that's not what we're doing.
Yeah. Because that would be horrible.
That would be dumb.
It would be extremely grim if people just accepted this. Like, oh, well, what else are you going to do? We're all just waking dreams. It's incredibly grim, the whole prospect. And I don't really think they even come close to saying that thing kills you on the actual series.
No, they super don't.
Okay,
they super not.
Just so we're clear on that, then.
Yeah, and it's okay for people to be in universe nervous about doing it, just like
But just like people are nervous about flying.
Yeah, just like people are nervous about getting on a plane, or sometimes even getting in cars in certain situations, you know.
For sure, travel is terrible. Is the point?
I'm safe at home.
Yeah. I'm never going. I'm never traveling again. Except for tomorrow morning when I have to drive to the grocery store to use their toilet. It really, like, it's like the modern world has broken down around here at this point. I'm living on the edge of the wilderness, literally. I'll feel a lot better when the tub is not full of flood poo water.
Yeah, all right.
It's all right. Thanks for listening to me.
I live in a city. I bought an apartment up on the side of a big hill.
Oh, good. Smart.
I don't have to worry about floods for the most part.
Yeah. It's been but like this past year, like the whole fall, even from this past spring until now, it has been flooding and it has been raining like crazy this year.
Yeah, it's been very wet this year.
And flooding as well, and it is at the point, it is now becoming untenable. It's really, yeah, I don't know how much is backed up, and yeah, like what I was talking about, I don't really know what's going on down there, but I can't help but speculate all these pipes just filled with rising water with nowhere to go, and the septic tank filled with flood water and just nowhere for any of it to go but into my tub. But it looks okay. I'm gonna watch it all night, and tomorrow I'm gonna have to figure out how much money I'm gonna have to spend on and tomorrow, what I was supposed to be doing tomorrow was opening up and it might still be raining, which would definitely put this out of the possibility, but I'm supposed to be taking my car's engine apart tomorrow and seeing if I can put an alternator in there. Like everything I'm really having a time right now. Stuff's going on.
Yeah. Sorry about it.
Thanks. Thank you for talking to me about transporters.
Yeah, transporter is one of those technologies that I would love to have.
Yeah. I would love to have all that Star Trek shit, but I would want to have 100 years of people testing it out before I TNG, I'm more comfortable with it. That thing that happens in the motion picture, it's really along the lines of like David Cronenberg's The fucking Fly. It really scared me. Have you seen The Fly?
Yeah.
Yeah, a monkey comes apart in there.
Yeah. No.
Really awful shit.
The Fly is is the horror version of the transporter.
Ooh. That's why, I mean, more because of The Fly. I'll never fucking teleport, whatever. He gets drunk and teleports himself. The dumbest thing I can think of. Drinking and teleporting.
Gotti eventually solves a problem with the drinking contest in TOS.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah.
I think you kind of were talking about this.
Yeah, there's one episode where they get hijacked by some aliens from Andromeda.
Yeah, from another fucking galaxy? I had never heard of that on Star Trek.
Yeah. And they keep only a few of the crew members around. The rest of them, they turn into 12-sided dice. Right,
yes.
And
that's right.
So they don't have to eat or anything. And then, eventually Scotty convinces the guy who's watching the engine room with him to get drunk with him. He drinks him under the table, and after he's unconscious, he steals his shit or something like that, or takes the shit back. I forget exactly how it goes.
Good for Scotty. That's great to hear. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, if you guys are looking at the stream, I would like you guys to make note of the fact that the only episode out of season 2 that I have viewed is Tuvix.
I'm gonna be honest. I keep forgetting it's that early in the series.
Me too. That's the only reason. Yeah, that's why I used to have trouble figuring out where it was, because it's in a part of the show that I don't usually watch.
I have not watched Voyager in a really long time.
Feel free to
Couple
ask
years.
questions. Here comes Tuvix.
Sickbay to Ensign Kim. Please turn to your emergency medical holographic channel.
Captain's log. I'm a murderer.
So there you go. That's Tuvix. Maybe not the most notorious Voyager episode. That one is probably Threshold.
Did they ever bring that up again between Neelix and Tuvok, who are like, yeah, remember that time when we were both the same person? Or is it like, no, they don't remember?
Because of answering simply because of, you know, what 90s television is like, I would say there's a 99% chance that those two never mentioned it again.
Right.
We told you there's a whole episode of Lower Decks where a lot of Tuvixing occurs.
Yeah.
Tuvix should have just gotten those orchids and started absorbing more people until everyone on the ship was just Tuvix.
Yeah.
Right?
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I am Voyager.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, just one guy standing at the helm. I am Voyager. Except we forgot about the doctor. The doctor would have put a solution on that, I can tell you.
I wonder, my friends, was he really such an evil energy gas?
He did give us eternal youth.
24-hour laundromat?
A full assortment of rum, both spiced and regular.
Truly, it was a paradise.
And all you had to put up with was one really annoying Star Trek fan.
Let's get the hell out of here.
That was cute.
Yeah, it's a really... a really solid piece of TOS media.
Welching.
Was Doohead not alive?
I don't know.
I feel like that might have been possible.
It might have been possible. I think DeForest Kelly was the first one of the original cast to go.
Yes, he died first of the original cast.
Because I think like his head is in this one or like whatever, but I don't think he says anything.
Yeah, he didn't actually speak.
Or maybe he's not in it. Maybe I forget.
No, he's in it. He didn't talk like he.
There he is.
Yeah. There he is.
That episode is great. We'll see. I keep bringing up the Corbomite maneuver, but I feel like the guy reminds me of Baylock. Melvor.
Melvor with 3 L's.
With 3 L's.
No, you're right. I think that is the Corbomite maneuver. That's hilarious that we're such Star Trek nerds that we're looking at this and being like, yeah, this episode.
Yeah, which I like that Kirk does one of the overheaded double fist smashes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
The fucking classic Star Trek move. I wonder how effective that is.
Not very.
Ultimate punch.
Yeah.
It's not particularly effective.
Is it some kind of stage combat? Like, is that the origins of that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
100%. It looks dramatic. It looks
Yeah,
dramatic.
exactly.
You see it in stage combat, and you see it in like WWE, and literally that is the only place you see it.
I've noticed that they go through the trouble of animating this move once in a while on lower decks as well, which I think is just delightful. The old Starfleet overheaded double fist smash.
Yeah. It's some kind of highly evolved future story. That's the story we're gonna go with.
Yeah, okay. Future martial arts.
Yeah.
I wonder how much longer this episode was after like the sixth movie. What's the title of this episode? Yeah.
Where no fan has gone before.
That's great.
What was the Family Guy episode, y'all? Someone was mentioning a Family Guy episode. Did they ever give us like?
We don't have the details. We could look it up if you guys are interested. But there is a Family Guy episode where the crew, the cast of TNG appears.
I'm down to watch it, and I do have access to Family Guy on Disney. So if you want, I'm happy to host that. I won't be walking away for calls at this point, anyways. I'm done. I'm done all the stuff I had to do.
Season 7, episode 11.
Season 7, episode 11. It is.
Right.
Yeah, this was 2002. So this was quite a bit after. Did Futurama like leave and did it get like canceled?
Oh, Futurama's been canceled like 6 times. That's the ongoing joke with them.
Yeah,
They get canceled every few years.
Was this like the second round of it? Because 2002 was. I definitely would have expected this to be earlier than 2002.
Yeah, season 4. This was from season 4, and season 4 is the first season where they got renewed and came back.
Cool. Okay. Cool.
A few years after their initial cancellation.
Oh, Not All Dogs Go to Heaven. That episode, confirming.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
According to Google.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah.
This is a TNG episode.
Oh, Picard, not Picard. Yeah, well, Picard, but Patrick Stewart is like the first face you see on the that is not what I meant to share. It's the first face you see on like the
Oh, is this the soda
what's it called?
game?
The tag, like the thumbnail. There we go.
The thumbnail, yeah.
I'm having a night, okay? Like I know words, I promise.
Cool.
All right. So yeah, no, I can put that on, or do you guys want to chat more first, or talk through it?
Let's watch it. Yeah, we can talk through it. We've been just kind of
Yeah,
we were
shooting the
kind of
shit,
like
yeah.
let's watch it and shoot the shit.
Today
Yeah.
that all you see is violence in movies and sex on TV.
Is that Rob Lowe?
It's Rob. Is that Batman?
Yeah, that's Adam West and Rob Lowe. Yeah.
Hear what? I swear I heard something. Oh, Adam, we have been over and over this. There is nothing under your bed. There is nothing in the closet. There are no such things as monsters. All right? All right, I guess. Good. Now, try to go to sleep because we got to get up in the morning and make movies. We're big Hollywood actors.
Yeah, we are. Rest in peace, Adam West.
Yeah, man.
Well, that was mint.
Yeah, the scenes with the TNG cast were incredible.
Yeah.
I guess, does anyone have any thoughts about Tuvix or anything else? I'm very high and
I would have to rewatch it to actually be able to provide any feedback.
They just straight up shot that dude in the face.
Yeah.
You know the equivalent.
They dragged him away.
They dragged him away to be executed. They're like,
They made
"We're
a whole
sorry.
procedure of it.
There's one of you. There's one of you, and there's two of the other guys. So sorry, you gotta go. You're too new. You haven't made enough friends yet."
That's Except Tom Paris, who had an oddly wistful, guilty look as Tuvix was dragged away. Yeah, I feel like it was really... It's really... I like, Weebs mentioned that They could have done something where Tuvix tries to hijack the ship or do something dangerous or, fight back in some way, and then it would be like, oh, he's gone mad, he's the villain now. Now it's okay to split him in half. But they didn't. They made a very long, sad, overwrought, emotional conundrum instead.
I like that they didn't try and just sugarcoat it though.
Yeah, they didn't. It would have been easier to have him hijack the ship.
I like that they made an actual decision.
Yeah, no, it was good because it's anytime you have a story or something like that that's really complex, it's interesting that way. You cheapen it by taking it out of people's hands.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me say thank you to all of you for being here, and obviously I will talk to you all soon.
Word.
Yeah, I was gonna say something about talking to some of you about certain things, but all of the future plans have left my mind momentarily.
I'll see you on Monday.
I'll talk to you on Monday, and obviously I'll talk to everyone soon. I hope you are.
Yep.
I hope you are all, rolling right along.
Good night, everybody.
Cheers, Joe.
Night. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Talk to y'all later soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Meanwhile, Scotty's in the transporter room fiddling with levers when Lieutenant Uhura comes in, and she's got, her big pointies, and Scotty's fingers are all sweaty.
No.
Chekhov screams, he sprays blood out of his mouth.
Oh.
Scotty beamed his guts into space.
No way!